See, this is too much talking. This is way too much talking. I'm saying way too much. I need to be short and to the point, which is half me and half not, because I'm short, but I'm definitely not to the point. Hey guys! So in today's Sketchbook Sunday video, I wanted to kind of further expand on the idea we've been discussing the past few weeks, where we've been talking about expanding ideas before actually executing finished pieces. And so in today's sketchbook page, I do several little versions of a character in order to find the one that I'm most happy with. So I hope you guys enjoy the process, and I will see you there. So in today's Sketchbook Sunday video, I really wanted to work on a character design, and in the past I've done some character design in a similar style to this, where I do smaller thumbnails and then develop my favorite into a more finished character piece. I've always really enjoyed that process, and so I'm not really sure why I don't do it more. So in this sketchbook page, I really knew that I wanted to do just that. And the first thing you'll probably notice is that I'm using a toned sketchbook as opposed to white paper. And I really just started this sketchbook after my 1-week sketchbook. And so I haven't really done a whole lot in it, just a few singular one-off pages. But I've really been enjoying the process of working on paper that isn't just white. And I can't even really say why it is completely. I think I like that I can make certain sketches stand out more than others. Because if you're just working in pencil, a lot of times the character or doodles will just sort of blend into the page. And you'll see a little later in this video where I really make my favorite ones stand out. So as for the idea behind this character, I am designing Icarus from Greek mythology. And this is for a piece that I am working on, and I will probably end up doing it digitally. I'm assuming there will be a video for it in the future. But there isn't really a lot of descriptive imagery surrounding the actual appearance of the character in the myth. And so I wanted to do a little bit of a design to see what I liked the most. And as is fairly typical of these types of sketches, the very first one I did is the most cliche. I pictured a guy with a fairly delicate looking face with curly blonde hair that's short. And with that design in particular, I gave him a bit of a larger nose, though I decided later that a smaller nose would be better for the more ignorant personality of the character. And in the end, it actually turned out that the least expected character was my favorite. And it's actually the second one that I drew. And it was basically the exact opposite of the very first thing. I gave that character a more square jawline, I gave him pointy ears and long hair, and I'm not really sure why this process works in the way that it does, but it's always so interesting to me that the first idea that comes to mind is never the best one. And I really wanted to work on more character designs for this particular character, but anything else that I did after tended to be a little too modern. The hairstyles I was choosing were too modern. And the second one I did just seemed to be this nice balance of something that could be very dramatic because I wanted to draw this character falling. And I just had the image in my head of long hair and how long hair would look while it was falling. And it's just generally a much more dramatic look. And I definitely wanted something that was a little more dramatic for this particular piece, just because Greek mythology, or any mythology really, at its core is all about epic adventures and very dramatic things. And so I wanted to play that up in the piece of artwork that I ended up doing. When I actually started this page, I didn't know that I was going to be finishing it in the way that I did. And it was all a very sort of loose process. But once I had chosen my favorite character, I realized that he really blended in to the page a bit too much for my liking. And there was no real way of knowing which one I liked the best without making a note that said this one. And so I really wanted to do something to try to make it stand out. So the first thing I did was I used some micron pens to give him a bit of line variation, I guess. And I tried to make him stand out in that way. And I also added markers and a white colored pencil outline, which is kind of my favorite thing to do on this toned paper, just because it makes them stand out so much. And what I will say is that this process of working on toned paper is definitely very different than the process of working on stark white paper. And it's not that one is better than the other, I don't think, so much as completely different ways of looking at the artwork itself. And I'm always up for a challenge, and so when I finished that 1 week sketchbook, I knew that I wanted something that was going to be challenging in its own right, but not stressful like the 1 week sketchbook was. And so this toned paper, I have been kind of hanging on to this sketchbook for a while now, and I figured it was finally time to pull it out and actually do something with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching the process of this character design. I know it's very different than the types of things I typically do, but it is something that I'm actually a really big fan of, and I'd like to do more sort of structured character design as opposed to just slapping the first thing I think of onto the paper. And I think this kind of falls in line with what I've been talking about fairly recently, which is the concept of putting a bit more planning into my designs and my artwork. And doing things like this, actual character design sessions where I figure out what the best version of a character is, that falls right in line with that concept. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. I look like I literally just got out of bed. I say I'll get used to it, but I've been doing this for, 6 months now? I have 50 videos or something crazy like that. I'm having a little bit of trouble because I'm trying to change my intro, like I mentioned a few videos ago, because welcome back doesn't always make sense, but now I'm just kind of annoyed with myself because anything else that I say sounds strange. So, hello. I don't know what I was gonna say. What is happening? Can someone please tell me what's happening?